types of just the way that people behave or the modality of people or whatever, but I don't think I really referenced what the definition of it is. And I think to me, the materialist is kind of like the definition that I grew up with materialist was like people that basically lived for like money, or like they liked expensive things, or things that seem to have high value, or like luxurious things, fancy things, but basically money, like, is what it meant. Anything to do with money, or like the power that money brought, or the luxury or the pleasure. And now that idea has pretty much disappeared. It's more like the philosophical view, and that kind of relates to the ideological view too, I think, in a way. And so I basically see it as kind of like it's very pragmatic, or it's very like earthbound. Like it's like it only deals with what's kind of right in front of you and what you can see. And so it's like practical and functional, and it's kind of visual in the sense that it's like relates to not like the imagination or to the creative or to the spiritualizing of things, but it's more like kind of dealing with what's right in front of you, and that you can envision or whatever with your senses. I'm sort of just trying to condense this because I was already trying to define this and it was getting kind of long. So it's just the sort of very concrete and the sort of very functional. Like it does apply into behavior, because it's kind of like just dealing with things like living one day at a time, or like just doing your work every day and doing what's functional and productive and stuff like that. Like it's so that's just a basic rundown of kind of what I see of it, but I think I neglected that. Then the other thing was that I was talking about like Buddhism, Taoism, and philosophy and stuff, and like I think that's kind of where I really left off, was like sort of promoting that, but I was sort of like positioning that against a sort of like prophetic idea that like I seem to be someone that's promoting different things than even what I seem to preach or believe. But I think what I'm saying is that, and also it seems to be like, let's say, to go against the prophetic or the like godly principles. But what I think I'm suggesting is that prophetic things have come up in the past, and I referenced Jeremiah, where he seemed to be saying like, it's not what you think you're supposed to do that is going to happen. Like God doesn't want you to try and shake Nebuchadnezzar's rule off right now, because he's going to crush you. So it's like you just have to accept that that's the way it is. So when I'm talking about, and the reason that I gravitate towards Taoism and Buddhism, because I think that they are a profoundly godly way. It doesn't matter what the religion looks like. It's all about peace and the utmost respect for all living creatures. And that's just the cursory knowledge of what I know. But like, I don't know much, but it's like, it's almost like you're going to be hard pressed to find wrongs with it, I think, unless it becomes maybe too much of an extremist or excessive faction of it or something like that. So it's kind of like healthy thinking, healthy behaving. And like some people might just totally go off the handle and think that I'm prescribing something that's very unbiblical or whatever. In a way I could be. So I don't want to say like I'm suggesting the answer or even that you should follow me. I'm just telling you what I think and what I envision, and also what I think is kind of like seems like a realistic possibility, but I could be the worst a realistic possibility, but I could be the worst person to listen to. Like in some ways I get a sense and a vision that I kind of understand and sort of seems to resonate truthfully to me, and then other times I'm just not sure if I'm just pulling something out of a hat or whatever, like walking right into the enemy's trap, so to speak. But I don't think so. Like, I think that what we need to look at is more like a millennial, and I mean a new millennial. Like, how are we going to get through the next millennium? Like, we need to get out of this idea, this mindset where we think that we are on the end stages of life. And this whole climate change ideology that verges into, I think, myth, or like presuming upon God when we don't really know what we're in. I think the fact is that we're treating the planet very badly, and it's reacting by a cursory, to use that word again, level of retaliation. Like, it's like if you want to act like that, there's going to be fires and stuff, because it's like the ambient air is being compromised and stuff like that. You're already, you are heating up the surface, obviously. But are you really doing climate change? Are you really playing God? Are you really actually changing? Are you melting the icebergs? Like, I don't think we can presume on that level. We can just say, you know what, we are cutting down a lot of trees, and we're replacing them with technologies that we don't realize the impact is, and mass production. Of course, like ever since the industrial era, we've been just like running the surface of the planet into the ground. So I think that the Earth is showing a response to that right away with increased fires and stuff like that I'm not going to really deny, But have we like dramatically impacted the climate itself, And again, I'd say, we probably have like a certain amount of increments of 1% or whatever, but like, is it past the healing point or past the point of no return, or, like that kind of stuff? I don't think it's fair for us to really feel like, and a whole bunch of other people seem to support that idea, that you can't speculate on that right now. But to me, the big danger is presuming that it's already the end stages and that we can kind of just get away with doing like whatever we want then, because the planet's already going downhill, which is kind of what I think that we are doing right now. And it's this cloud of like a negative ethos that we are subscribing to without realizing it, because additionally, I think that I think it seems to favor having a kind of like cynicism or whatever, where that empowers us because we can act negatively, and a lot of us seem to thrive in that, like as opposed to sincerity and tenderness and profound soberness, godliness, whatever. It allows us to have this very like domineering stricture or whatever, that kind of like we can just be tough guys or whatever, and like it kind of complements that mindset, which then we can't really shake or deny because it seems cool or tough or powerful or productive or whatever. But it's like the pendulum has gone too far and it's coming back, I guarantee you, no matter what you think. So it's like we can't just keep playing the tough guy role anymore. It's either going to get really bad, but it's probably going to be bad no matter what, it seems like. But I'm thinking that it could be like we could, if we turn to God, we can kind of like maybe avoid that. I think that's kind of what I feel. That's what I'm really prescribing, but I don't really know necessarily what that looks like or how to promote that to the whole world. So I'm saying we could start by kind of having a more philosophical, more down-to-earth, holistic, simplistic, purist, like very much a purist life is going to be like, we can't go wrong. So that's one thing. And I think that's kind of the main reason I embrace that philosophy. It's like, just to go back to that idea, it's kind of like, let's say we're not at the end stages. Let's say we're talking about like a political plan for the next 1,000 years. So I'd say, let's just say Taoism, the Buddhism is kind of like almost like a political platform for the next 1,000 years. That's the political platform. That's kind of like what we should be using to define our leaders and stuff like that. Like we need like the Dalai Lama should be like leading the planet, not Donald Trump, but it's kind of like what's more likely to happen. We're gonna like elect another Donald Trump or another Biden, right? Like we're not even gonna think about a Dalai Lama. So like you think I'm saying something that's anti-Christ or anti-biblical, but I'm saying no. Listen, I don't even think we're gonna be thinking of Dalai Lama. So to even go in that direction is already going to be like a gain for like the next 1,000 years. And I'm just going to conclude this basically with that idea of just kind of thinking more along that lines. And that's kind of like where my mind is, that like we need something that we can embrace as a whole planet. And like I think that's the last idea too, is that like right now we don't really have a leader. And I think that that's kind of dangerous, because it's like we have like a socialist materialist revival, but we don't even have a tyrannical despot as the leader. So like what's going to happen next? It's like I'm encouraging this whole world to turn to God, but I think we're also maybe kind of looking for a leader. And I don't think we're going to find that. There's not going to be a global leader. So I'm saying it's more like, for example, maybe a philosophical or a holistic or a sort of like environmentally sensitive approach is what we kind of need to do. So we need to back away from being such like bullies, or like even like big production and tough guys. Like we need to back away from that. And that's a hard thing for us to do, because to go back to that vision, it's like it's either all this stuff happening or the bottom seems like it's falling out from us, and that's hell. It's not. It's like that this is over. The pendulum has swung back over this. And then I was also saying, like, you're basically persecuting me. Like, I feel like an example, but maybe I'm a type or a microcosm, or maybe I'm a forerunner. Maybe I have a prophetic thing where I kind of like I've been tested and a little bit. Either way, I think that you are failing me and you are persecuting me, and you